Welcome to Financial Algebra. This is lesson 8.2, reading a floor plan. Now this first section, I'm going to talk a little bit to the teachers out there who are interested in doing a little fun activity that I like to do with my kids when it comes to this section. In the description, I'm going to link a YouTube video to Danielle, and she walks through her apartment MTV crib style. And so what I do with my kids is I play this 12-minute video, and they kind of look at me a little funny. But when the video is done, I give them a piece of paper and have them draw out the floor plan from memory. And it's kind of a good segue into, understanding how the entire floor plan section works, and we have a nice idea to work with when we're doing this in class. So I'll link that video in the show notes. So good luck and have fun with this section. All right, let's move into the vocab section. Vocabulary. All right. So, first vocabulary word is floor plan. This is a drawing of the layout of dimensions of the room. So, I like to think that this is a blueprint because essentially that's what it is. When you're looking at different apartments and you're looking online, you don't always get a good idea of, will my couch fit here? Will my bed fit there? But if you can look at a floor plan and it's drawn to scale, then you have a good idea as to the dimensions of any particular room. You also know where the stove is, the refrigerator is, toilets are, bathtubs, all those things are drawn into your floor plan. Windows, doors, and etc. Alright, next vocabulary word is area. This is length times width, and in our case we're saying length times width to find the total livable floor space in a square unit. So yes, area is length times width and it's measured in square units, but for us it'll tell you the exact floor layout, how much room we have in any particular space. Next vocabulary word we have is congruent. Now this is when two things measure the same length. In my classroom, I use the whiteboard example. I look at one whiteboard and I measure out the side lengths, and I measure out the other whiteboard in the room and it has the identical side lengths, and I can say these two whiteboards are congruent. They're not equal, they're not the same whiteboard, but they are congruent in length. Sorry about that. It's when two things measure the same length. Alright, next vocabulary word is perimeter. Now this is the sum of the measurements of all the sides around a polygon. When we measured the whiteboard example in the previous one, we're measuring all the sides all the way around. If I add them all up, which it means, the sum, then that is the perimeter of that particular whiteboard. Now you can take the perimeter of any polygon. Next vocabulary word is volume. Volume is the amount of space inside a three-dimensional region, such as a room, and it's measured using length times width times height. Now we use volume all the time, especially with our next vocabulary word, because we want to know how much space we have inside, and we're going to fill this space with cold air. So we need to use the next vocabulary word, the British thermal units, the BTUs, and we find BTUs using the acronym WHILE, W-H-I-L-E, and we take all those variables, we multiply them together, and we divide by 60. That's how we calculate British thermal units. W stands for width, H stands for height, I stands for insulation, L stands for length, and E for exposure. Each one of those has a numerical value. When multiplied together, divided by 60 will give us an approximation as to how many BTUs we need, so that when we're picking an air conditioning unit for a specific room, the cold air fills the room, the volume of the room. Cool. So that's all our vocabulary for this particular section. Let's move into example number 1. Liam is using a floor plan for his new home to help him purchase the base molding for the place where the walls meet the floor. The plans are drawn to scale using a 1/4 inch to represent 1 foot. He measures the floor plan with a ruler and finds that he needs a total of 23.5 inches. If molding costs $2.10 per foot, how much will Liam spend on molding? Alright, so for this example, we need to set up a proportion. So we need two fractions. The first one is how the measurements are set up. So in other words, we're shrinking this measurement, and 1/4 inch or 0.25 inches divided by 1 foot is telling us that there's a ratio here of a 1/4 inch per foot. That's our first fraction that we're setting up. And every 1/4 inch per foot is going to equal the number of total inches divided by the actual number of feet. So we're setting up a proportion. So we have two fractions. On the left side we have 0.25 inches divided by 1 foot, and on the right side we have the number of total inches in the floor plan. In this case, Liam measured 23.5 inches, so that's the number that's going to go there, divided by the actual number of feet in the room. That's what we're trying to figure out, so we're going to replace that with x. So now that we have two fractions equal to each other, the way we solve it is we do cross multiplication. So we're going to get 0.25 times x, which is going to be 0.25x on the left side of the equation, and that's going to equal 23.5 times 1, or 23.5 on the other side of the equation. Now all we got to do is solve for x, so we're going to divide by 0.25 on both sides, and we end up with x equals to 94. Now, we have a number. What does it mean in the context of this problem? So we got the answer x equals 94. That means that Liam needs 94 feet of molding so that he can line up the base of the entire room. So 94 linear feet of molding times $2.10 a linear foot means that he's gonna go to Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever and spend $197.40 in base molding. Alright, let's move on to example number 2. Mila plans to carpet the room except for the quarter circle in the corner. The radius of that quarter circle is 8 feet. If the carpet costs $9.55 per square foot, which is outrageous by the way, what will it cost to carpet the room? Alright, so first things first. The room is a measurement of 25 by 16 feet. So if we multiply, because we're trying to find the area, the square footage within the rectangle. So if we multiply 25 by 16, we're going to get 400 square feet. Now if we were carpeting this whole area, we would be done right now. We'd know we need 400 square feet of carpet. But Mila's getting a little creative, and in the corner of this room, this quarter circle, she's going to have some other flooring. Either it's already wood or I don't know what, but it's going to be different. It's not going to be carpet. So we need to figure out what the area of this quarter circle is and subtract it out from the 400 square feet that we have here. So to find the area of a circle, it's equal to area is equal to pi r squared. So in this case, we don't have an entire circle, so we're going to modify this equation a little bit. I don't want pi r squared. I want a quarter of the pi r squared, right? 1/4 of the pi r squared. So area is going to equal to 1/4 pi r squared, and we're going to replace pi with 3.14. We're going to round it, right? We don't have to put that long decimal in there. And then we're going to replace r with 8 because the radius of this circle is 8. And now we're going to do the multiplication. This is 1/4 times 3.14 times 64, because that's 8 squared. Right, and that's going to equal 50.24 square feet. That's the area of that quarter circle. So remember that the area of the entire room was 400 square feet, and if we subtract out the 50 square feet, because we're rounding, right, then we're going to have 350 square feet of carpet that we're going to use to carpet that area minus the quarter circle. Now remember, we have an outrageous bid here of $9.55 per square foot. So if we multiply that out, to carpet this one room minus the quarter circle is going to be $3,342.50. I suggest Mila goes and gets another bid. Let's move on to example number 3. Example number 3, Mila is going to design her backyard gazebo, and it's shaped as a regular octagon. Each side is 10 feet, and they need to purchase flooring for the floor only, obviously. So the cost is $14 per square foot. Find the cost of the gazebo. Alright, so this is an octagon, so we're going to need another little measurement that they give us in this example, and we don't have to calculate, which is a nice thing. It's called the apothem, right? And so this is we're dropping the apothem from the middle down to from the middle of this regular octagon down to the middle of one of the side lengths. So that measurement is already given to us. It is 12, and the way we find the area of this regular octagon is area is equal to 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. So this is a regular octagon, meaning all the sides are the same length. And they told us that each side length is 10 feet. So if it's 8 feet or 8 side lengths, that's going to be a total of 80 feet in the perimeter. The apothem is also given to us as 12. So now all we got to do is substitute into the equation. So A, which is area, is equal to 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter. So when we do that multiplication, 1/2 times 12 times 80, we get 480 square feet. Multiply that by 14, and the total cost for the flooring on this gazebo is going to be $6,720. Mila has some expensive taste. Alright, we're skipping example number 4 and we're going on to example number 5. Find the volume of a room that's 14 by 16 by 8 feet high. So volume is simple. It's L times W times H, length times width times height. In this case, we got 16 times 14 times 8, so we get 1,792. Be sure to use your unit measurements on the end of that, so it's 1,792 cubic feet for this example. Alright, let's move into example number 6. So we got Liam, right? Liam over here, he's trying to figure out what kind of AC he's going to use for his room. So Liam's room is 16 by 14 by 9 feet. It's well insulated and it's on the west side of the house. So how large of an air conditioning unit should he purchase to cool his room? Alright, remember we're going to use the measurements for BTUs, and the acronym for this is while divided by 60, WHILE divided by 60. And in this case, while the W is 14, H, the height is 9, I represents his insulation. And now if it's well insulated, then you're going to replace I with 10. But if the room is poorly insulated, you're going to replace it with 18. And notice that one number is bigger than the other. If it's well insulated, it means that the room is going to keep the cool air in longer, so the AC unit doesn't have to pump as much. But if it's poorly insulated, it means that cold air is going to seep out of the room faster, so it needs to pump more cold air at a time, so it needs a larger number. So in this case, well insulated, we're going to replace the I with 10. And then of course the length is 16. And lastly, it has an exposure from the west. So exposure has different variables because the sun comes from different areas during the day. So the more exposure that the room has to the sun, the larger the amount of heat that gets pushed into that room, which means the AC unit needs to pump out more air. So if it's facing north, the exposure would be 16. If it faces east, the exposure would be 17. South would be 18, and west would be 20. And in this case, Liam's room is facing west, so it's 20 is our exposure. So let's sum this up. We got 14 times 9 times 10 times 16 times 20. That we take all those, divide them by 60, because that's while divided by 60, and we get a BTU rating of 6,720. Now we usually round these up to the nearest thousandth, so 7,000 BTUs is the air conditioner that he should get, the rating for the air conditioner that he should get to cool his room. So remember, when you're picking an apartment or when you're getting ready to buy your own place and you're designing, maybe where you're going to put carpet, how much crown molding you're going to put in, where you're going to put your appliances, where your cabinets are, where your couches are going to go, it's important that you understand how to read a floor plan, right? And understanding that will help you and save you time when you go to Jerome's, for example, you're going to pick some furniture out. You'll know exactly what size couch you can fit in a particular room. You'll know exactly where your bathroom layout's going to be. Do you have double sinks, single sinks, all these different things to look into when you're deciding to move into a place. Do you want people to walk through your bedroom to go to the bathroom, for example? You can decide ahead of time by being able to read your floor plan. So until next time, enjoy lesson 8.2, and when you get ready to move out and you have any questions, be sure you send us an email. hernan@csfirst.com is my email address, or you can also check out our daily podcast called Business Bros. We're on iTunes or anywhere you get your podcast reviews, so that's Business Bros. If you have any other questions, send us a comment here. Peace, and I'm out.